It's Jeremy Vanderloop. We're doing another Let's Get Coffee podcast with my dear friend Ralph Smith. You own a couple companies. You have a great history and just an amazing story. You are obviously here a member at Crest. We're becoming good friends. We hang out and talk, and just super impressed with just everything you do. And there's so many layers to Ralph, a lot of layers of Ralph, and just really excited to kind of start to unpack what makes Ralph tick, like who you are, what you do, what some of your motivators, and just to learn from you, man. So for the next 45 minutes or so, it's just going to be hanging out, drinking coffee. We've kind of prepped a little bit, and then now there's just no prep. Now it's as we go. So cheers.
Cheers.
Let's get some coffee.
Thank you for the coffee.
Yeah. So Ralph, tell us about yourself. Where you from? What have you done? What do you do? Your wife, all that stuff, man.
Sure. I'll start with the most current events.
Most current
events. I'm born and raised in Tampa, which isn't current because that was slightly over 50 years ago. But I am married to a lovely wife named Brandy Nielsen.
You look about 41, though. So
thank you. We'll get into the whole anti-aging industry shortly. But yeah, that's actually why I got into the industry. My wife and I, as we are aging, we've been in health and wellness for a long time. We have a passion for health and wellness, and we figured, this next season in our life, why not do what we love? Why not wake up every day and submerge ourselves in industry that we're living anyways? So that's what kind of spurred this idea of getting into the anti-aging industry in the middle of COVID of all times.
So this is a fresh thing. You guys just recently got into anti-aging.
Yes, it is. But let me go back a little bit about myself.
Yeah, a little bit.
Born and raised here in Tampa. Grew up with a family that, my parents were split, so it wasn't the best childhood, but my parents were wonderful. They did the best that they could, but that also influenced my life in a tremendous way, right? When you grow up not really having a lot of direction, just kind of figuring it out, 'cause my parents were very young when they had me, and going through high school, not having direction, not really knowing what I want to be when I grow up, it opened up a plethora of ideas and opportunities that I had no idea what I was going to get into. In fact, even to this day, I still don't know what I'm going to be when I grow up.
Well, me neither, right? What were some of your earliest ideas, like when you were, as a teenager and in your early 20s that you were getting into?
Money seemed to be a challenge in our household
when
we were growing up. So I always knew I needed to make some money.
Yeah.
And I had this misconception that happiness was going to be derived from having money.
Yeah.
So I went to a community college here in Hillsborough County called Hillsborough Community College. But I was really fascinated with business. I just wanted to have my own business. I wanted to learn about business. I was studying business administration at Hillsborough Community College. Okay. And then I got an opportunity to manage a spot down in Miami, and I was 21 years old. And I
21 as a manager.
And I moved to Miami, and wow. Did that open my eyes to a whole new world that was very money centered?
Yeah.
So needless to say, I ended up quitting college and getting involved in some different lifestyles that were pretty abusive, but very money focused. And that really had a huge impact in my life, and kind of steered me into a direction that was a little bit abusive. But I learned a lot. I traveled the world. I ended up doing some things I probably shouldn't have been doing, but nonetheless made a lot of money.
Well, you're pursuing money.
Yeah, pursuing money. Sometimes that causes a big distraction in your life.
Well, and sometimes you'll get it at all costs.
At all costs. And you're willing to sacrifice everything.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and also not being mindful of the unintended consequences that it can have on the people that care about you, like your family.
Let's stay on that a little bit. So if you could talk to your 24-year-old self, right?
Yes.
Tell him it's like 3 things of advice, almost like a father, like being a father. Yeah. What would you say to the 24-year-old self? Because there's a lot of the younger generation that I feel is making huge strides in that direction that you talked about, and so talk to your 24-year-old self.
Knowing what I know today, I think the first thing that I would pour into anyone in their late teens or young 20s is ask them about their salvation.
Okay.
Because we live in a world that is very broken, and also very money driven. You know, we have even in a corporate life, we're taught to work up the corporate ladder, and sometimes that's at all sacrifice as well, right? It could be 50, 60, 70-hour weeks, not realizing that you're not spending any time with your loved ones, with your wife, with your kids. And I think salvation and giving your life to Christ and allowing the Holy Spirit to come in and give you direction would be the first thing that I would give my 24-year-old self.
Yeah, it comes some faith. Here's some faith.
Yeah, faith is a big part of my walk now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what would be the number 2 thing? So hey, really be bigger than yourself. Here's faith. You know, I mean, we both have the same worldview. So here's this, you surrender your life, and be selfless in this way and take this gift that was given to you, right? And then get that secret weapon in your life, that relationship, that prayer, that faith, that, driving that forward. And that would say your number 1 thing you'd say your 24-year-old self.
Yes.
Right. And what was number 2?
Find a mentor.
Okay.
I think it's very unfortunate that the other thing that our culture, I wouldn't say embrace, but it's a detriment, right? A lot of young people today, men, are growing up with fatherless, right?
That's
so
true.
They don't have the dad or the father figure in their life or a mentor in their life that they can look up to give them sound direction. So other than giving your life to Christ and having some type of faith and some biblical principles, grasping onto a role model that you can bounce your ideas off of, and he can hold you accountable, because accountability is a big part of growing up. But also just education and teaching you and giving you some advice,
just practical
knowledge and advice to keep you on course.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the second thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be where I am today without, there's a couple key men in my life.
Yeah.
At 25, they started coming in and speaking into my life.
Absolutely.
It's
important.
Completely changed my life.
And that also underscores the value of community.
Yeah.
Right. And even being here at Crest Community, it's really important that you surround yourself with like-minded people, because your peers, whether if you admit it or not or realize it, have a big influence on your life. Depending if you're going through challenges personally or professionally, a lot of young professionals, you're not going to get a lot of good sound advice at happy hour. Right?
Yeah.
But if you're a young professional and you have community of like-minded peers that you trust, and they're going to hold you accountable, and it may be that evening on a Friday or a Saturday that's, they can challenge you to make wise decisions. I think that's really important.
Yeah. So the first one is really focus on something bigger than yourself. Get some faith, right?
That's right.
Surrender your life into that. Don't be all about yourself, right? And your worldview, like come to know Christ, right? Your salvation. And then number 2 was get a mentor, get someone to speak into you.
Absolutely.
Right? Because your surroundings, your relationships, they have a direct and indirect shaping of who you're going to be, right?
Absolutely.
Generationally, like as you're growing, as you're getting older. And that's, that whole thing, like show me your 5 closest friends, right? You know it?
Show you your future.
It shows you where your life's going to be in 5 years, right? And so that's the funniest thing. You want to be the dumbest and brokest guy in the room, right? Be like, how do I keep...
I've heard that.
Yeah. How do I be the dumbest and brokest?
Fortunately, I'm somewhere in the middle, I think.
Yeah. I keep, but it's, I still strive for that. How to be the dumbest and brokest dude in the room.
Yeah.
So what's number 3 though? Advice to your 24-year-old self. And specifically, you said you're really running fast and hard.
Slow down.
You're the definition of the hustle culture, right?
Yeah.
Before it was something cool. You were running hard after money. So your third advice would say,
slow down.
Just slow.
It's interesting. I'm doing a devotional right now called Grace Over Grind. And if I had to reflect back, the majority of my life after school, I've been grinding. It's been hard. And it can consume you. It can become your idol. You can work, and not even, at the sacrifice of family time. You can work, and it can consume you to even you have no social life. But it's the pursuit of what?
Yeah.
Right? Is it pursuit of purpose? Is it the pursuit of finance? What is it that drives a person every day when they wake up? And your why, right? And I think my third thing that I would encourage a young 20-something adult is to find your why, and then challenge them to make sure that it's something bigger than themselves.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's so much what we talk about around here, right? As a community space and who we are as entrepreneurs is being purpose-driven in our life, purpose-driven in our companies, and then allowing the profits to be the reward to the purpose.
That can't be the motivating driver of your business. So, I was an executive for over 10 years, and being a publicly traded company, that's what drove our quarter.
Let's talk about some of your successes, because that's literally
what we started with, right?
What these but what these kids, right? Are we looking at? I call them kids. I mean, but it's like what these young adults are looking at, even kids, teenagers and younger are looking at. Is they're looking at these guys on just like the highlight reels, right? They're driving these heavy mortgage rented supercars, right? Perception, right? They have all this stuff, and you really had success monetarily, and you still do, right? You still have monetary success, and so you've had that, and you're going, guys, there's something more than
still
this.
A void.
I promise you, there's still a
void in your life.
There's still a void, even though when you get all that. So let's talk about some of that success you had and some of the regrets and what you saw that you're saying, like, hey, that why was a little bit, a little unfulfilling without that why.
I think I've been pursuing that why most of my adult life. And when you can finally arrive to a place of purpose, whether if it's personal or professional, understanding what God's purpose is for your life, right? What is God's purpose for your marriage? Why does he bring certain people into your life? Why does he remove certain people from your life?
Yeah.
All of that influences your career, your finances, right? Your daily decisions. And, my journey's been quite diverse. I never really, because most of it was money-centered, there wasn't a single thing that I had a passion about. How some will say, hey, I get a trade, I'm passionate about carpentry, or I'm passionate about, authorship, I like to write. That was never... I never had those moments in my life. It was all about, okay, what's the next thing that I can... I'm passionate about making some money, right? And but that took me down a lot of different paths that I'm not very proud of. But at 27 years old, when you learn about the stock market and living through a .com boom, and you're introduced to some folks that can show you how to make a lot of money, and I invested in a company called Stellar Investments in '97. We had 12 stockbrokers. So going back to some of my history, we did really well. And this was before the internet was really taken off.
You were early adopter.
Early adopter, pursuing the companies like the E-Trades and the Merit Trades. We actually opened an office in Hyderabad, India, looking to develop an online trading platform for global trading. At the time, with the markets expanding the way that they were, it was foreseen. We were thinking that there was going to be a 24-hour market where we could execute
like what you're seeing now in the crypto world.
Exactly. So that's how this is. Now we're talking back at this is over 30 years ago, right? So I was very young, naive, didn't know a lot about what I was getting into other than the pursuit of money. But while looking back, while I feel like there was some success in that, there's a lot of valuable lessons to be learned in that. I was blinded by a lot of different things. I didn't have the Holy Spirit in me giving me any type of guardrails, right?
Yeah.
So I was doing things like going to New York, actually funded a small restaurant in New York in Tribeca. So doing all of this before the age of 30.
Wow. The successful in the eyes of the world.
In the eyes of the world,
on a high
culture
level
would say, I had a lot of friends back then.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thinks you're doing well. Everyone thinks you got it figured out. Truth is, I was young, ignorant. I didn't have anything figured out. Fast forward, I hit a valley in my life and ended up losing everything I had worked for, and had to start over. So fortunately, after giving my life to the Lord, and I realized He had a greater calling for my life, He opened up a lot of doors for me. But I had to have the willingness to walk through them, right? God will open doors, but if you don't have the willingness to walk through, you may not be able to receive those blessings, right? So learning to listen, to slow down, going back to one of those encouraging words to the young 20s, is to slow down, get in the Word, learn to listen, but also obey. What am I talking about? That voice that's in your head, right? Like, is it the Holy Spirit in our faith?
I mean, some people call it your gut check.
Your gut, some will call it your gut. Your
understand the
I have
energy
this
around
feeling,
you, right? Yeah.
Your self talk, right? Learn to trust that, but also hold yourself accountable. And then if you have a mentor in your life, bounce that accountability off of them so they can challenge you to make sure that your perspective is in alignment, and not taking you down a course you shouldn't be going.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite principles that is just ancient is that one way appears to be right in a person's heart, but leads to destruction.
That's right.
Right?
Absolutely.
So you can't process through that. And it's the heart's deceitfully wicked above all things, right? Basically, you can talk yourself into anything emotional. And, a lot of, and there's wisdom that goes is like, is this pain, you're being married and all this stuff and just how life is. And, it's like, is this 5 minutes of pleasure worth 50 years of pain?
Oof.
Right?
Yes.
And you go, man, that's an old timer saying, but it's really one of those things. Your heart is deceitfully wicked above everything.
Absolutely.
And so that's why having the slowing down, having the mentor, right? Having something that guides you, having some level of faith,
so important.
Right? That you're walking that through, in a principle way is everything, because your heart can just go bang, do this, and next thing you know, you blur the lines and you lose everything.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
And you just go, oh, crap.
And it can happen to any of us. Some of us feel
no one's invincible.
We're invincible and we're bright. We've got wisdom. No one is an exception to the rule, right? We're all we all can be impacted some way or the other, and it can be when you least expect it. And I've had that actually happen to me twice in my life, where you go through life, you have different seasons. Some seasons are prosperous, some seasons are really good. You're riding the wave, and then other seasons are not so great. And you got to learn to rejoice no matter where you're at in life, no matter what season you're in. Take the good with the bad. Thank God I was blessed with a wife that
you and me both, bro.
That can hold me accountable, that can ride the wave with me, that we can recognize the peaks and the valleys together, and understand that when at this season in my life, getting back to the whole anti-aging, I'm over 50 now. My wife is over 50. I won't give her exact age, but
Good on you.
But we are definitely a lot wiser today, and we look at life through a different lens than what we did even 10 years ago. And we don't take anything for granted. We don't take our marriage for granted. We don't take our blessings, our financial blessings for granted. And we don't take our friendships for granted. And I think in this season in life, we're a lot more mindful of people, places, and things, and who we want to do life with.
Yeah.
Which candidly, Jeremy, is one of the reasons that landed me here at Crest Community.
Yeah.
Trying to find a safe place in a professional corporate world is not always easy. And what do I mean by that? You go to these networking events, you go to these corporate retreats. Someone's always got a motive.
Yeah.
Right? Most people don't have your best interests at heart. They're usually looking out for their own interests or for the interests of their business. And what I found here after I met you is that there was something different here. You're cultivating an environment that feels safe. You can meet other professionals that genuinely seek or have a desire to help you, whatever that help may look like. It may just be someone to give you a pat on the back. It may be someone to help you with digital marketing, which happens to be my background. I never got into that in the beginning, but I've been known to be pretty good at digital marketing over the years.
Talk about that a little bit. Yeah. So you were in the public company space.
Yeah.
Did you hold a CMO position at a public?
Not CMO, but senior vice president of digital marketing. Okay. I was an officer of the publicly traded company. We did really well. Grew the business quarter over quarter and year over year for 7 straight years.
Wow.
So I'm proud of that body of work. But I also know that the position that I was put in is not common with my background, right? I didn't graduate from college. I didn't have necessarily the credentials to be an expert in that realm, especially for a publicly traded company. But with the gifts and talents that I feel God has blessed me with, and the doors that He's opened and I had the willingness to walk through, He's done some amazing things in my life. And to be able to be in that position, traveling the world, being part of, as I said, an officer of a publicly traded company, isn't real common.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of it. I'm proud of of the journey that I've been on, and I'm actually applying a lot of those learnings into my new business model.
That's awesome. Well, let's talk about your new business model. Like, what is this? So you've been in this for 2 years.
2 years.
So it's a
yes.
young
Yeah.
startup. Young startup. I know something about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're in the grind stage of this startup.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. What is it? What do you?
Well, and this goes back to why I'm really into this study right now, grace over grind, because as a startup, and you can identify with
the
this,
crawl stage. You're in the crawl stage.
It can consume you.
It can. If you're not careful.
Every thought, right? Every dollar, and you have to be careful not to miss your blessings in the journey. Learn to slow down. Enjoy. I have a really good friend, colleague. He's part of our team now, Alex Martinez.
Yeah.
And almost daily he reminds me, enjoy the process, right? Because I can get, as an entrepreneur and as a startup, unless you've done it, unless you understand what starting a new business really entails, it's kind of hard for you for a person to even understand, which is why most people get jobs, right? You go in, you get used to the paycheck, you clock in, you clock out. But as an early startup, there is no clocking out. You're working around the clock, right? And especially if you've already got a team that's dependent on you and you're the leader, there comes a lot of responsibility with that. But you have to be careful to enjoy the process.
You have to.
And you have to slow down. And I feel where I'm at today, there's a lot of lessons to be learned going back to faith, that He likes us to be dependent on Him. So even though we may have a vision, we may have a roadmap and a plan and have everything that we think is figured out, but the truth is we're in control of nothing, and it can change on a dime, and it almost forces you to get back on your knees to be dependent on Him and not yourself.
Always. I mean, I'm in that season right now.
Yeah,
where I thought I had it all figured out. And it's a subconscious thing. This is where culture and community and serendipity happens, right? Where you unexpected beautiful consequences just by being in the position, in the right relationships at the right time. But the ultimate in my, this is not necessarily like a faith-based podcast, but we both have faith, and so we're going to.
So it's going to be. It's
going to be in our conversation.
It's
going to be in our conversation. But it's so. This is, and if we just let this thing roll. For me, though, is really knowing, man, I am not the provider, the protector of my home, of my life, of my family. My job is to simply be the leader, and in my worldview, the spiritual leader of my home, and then my Creator and friend takes care of everything else, right?
Sure does.
And you kind of walk through that, but all too often, we in the fall we had some hits and good, like really good hits actually, that sets me up in a better position equity wise and safety wise during a potential recession that we're in. I say potential because that's what everyone else is saying, that a recession that we're in. And you kind of walk in this and so it's set me up in the long play a lot better, but it took some fresh powder, some cash out of my pocket, which then put me on dependency of, this has to work. Right? I'm like, this really has to work, because I can't fall back on this cash that was in my bank, because now it's no longer in my bank. It's sitting in an asset.
Yes.
That, whatever, how that, we won't get into that, but so I still have that, but it's in an asset, unliquid. Thank God I had it, because that's what it allowed us to secure
But when that happened, right, these unforeseen circumstances, and as the leader, you have to get into a place of making a decision. No decision is worse than making the wrong decision. You have to move forward.
You got to make a decision.
You got to make a decision.
Yeah.
And the question is what influences that decision?
Yeah.
Right? Are you relying on your own knowledge and experience, which is not a bad thing sometimes, right? or are you relying on your mentors or your peers or your accountability partners?
It's like a trifecta. It's all of the above, right?
That's right.
You know?
And I think what I'm learning, I've really been intentional with my new business to surround myself with the same advice that I would give my 24-year-old child, right? Surround myself with like-minded businessmen that have a different calling and purpose on their life, but the success of their business just kind of ends up being the benefactor.
Yes.
Right? Like it just kind of happens because they're looking at business or looking at life through it's the fruit
of
the effort.
Of the diligence.
That's right.
The outcome of the effort.
So that's if there's anything that I would say is different with me and what I'm doing with my business today than anything I've done in my past, is exactly that. Right? Like, do I want it to be successful? Of course. Do I want it to make a lot of money and have revenue? Do I want to be able to bless our team abundantly? Of course. But the core focus is really goes back to community. And one of the themes that we were adopting for 2023 is recession-proof your practice, because we really want to get our arms around the medical providers that are struggling, the small business owners, the one location clinic or the 5 location clinic medical group, that they're being impacted because disposable income isn't what it was 3 years ago, right? New patient acquisition isn't what it used to be. So the question is how do they weather the storm? And if I sit down at the table with clinic owners or doctors, and they're expressing real concern, I'm not going to sit there and tell them, these are our fees, these are our packages, this is how we're going to make money, this is what I'm going to charge you. No, I got to get to the root of the problem. How can I get my arms around them and genuinely care about them and their practice? Everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, when you're caring about the individual.
That's right.
And that law of reciprocity that I talk about all the time. How do I serve? How do I help?
How do you serve? Moving forward with a servant's heart.
Yeah. Well, let's talk in like nuts and bolts of your business. What do you guys? What's the vehicle? What do you guys producing?
There's a lot of vehicles.
Well,
with one purpose.
Yeah.
Connecting local medical providers with end market patients, researching the services that they provide. Right. So we're in the anti-aging space. What does that mean? Aesthetic medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine.
Give some examples, like practical.
Yeah. So as an example, hormone replacement therapy clinics, right? Men after the age of 25, every 10 years, our testosterone starts to diminish. You go to a primary care, there's a kind of this misconception or stigma around testosterone therapy, right? What we like to do is we like to educate online with a non-biased view on the pros and cons of testosterone therapy. We clearly outline through one of the vehicles that we have online the risks that are associated with it, and then we equip our users to make an informed decision. So when they're ready, when their confidence is high enough that they may be a good candidate for testosterone therapy, we connect them with a local medical provider near them, anywhere in the country. So we are a national brand.
Okay. And then is anything else, any other like that, maybe as people kind of watch this and listen, they're curious. And what's the name of the company?
AgeEnvy.com.
AgeEnvy.com.
Yeah.
So we'll pop that up there. Yeah. And so this is like for just people who are really self-care. They're trying to, figure out they're aging. They're wanting to.
Preventative medicine is how we like to call it. In the digital landscape, they also call it alternative medicine. I think there's another void in our culture where with primary care, it's very reactive medicine. You get sick, you go to the doctor, right? You're overweight, you have high blood pressure, you go to the doctor, they put you on medicine. My wife and I agree that that's not what we believe in. We believe in proactive care. We believe in lifestyle, right? Lifestyle modification. And that could encompass a lot of different things. I myself, I'm on testosterone therapy. My wife is on hormone therapy. We feel that we should be good stewards of the vessel that we're blessed with, and that we want to live the best life at whatever age that we're at. And that's what got us into this particular industry.
Got it, yeah. And, helping people like not abuse it either, because you see some people, I mean, gosh, I see some people that are just like, they're just beautiful and handsome and all this stuff, and they almost like ruin their natural
Oh yes,
aging beauty, because it's beauty is seasonal. It's aging. It's you're trying to be 20 when you're 40 or 20 when and it's like it just it almost does the opposite of what it is actually intended.
Yes, and that that's something that's really been more so probably on my wife's heart than me, because I'm still coming around. But we want to use our vehicle of education to encourage those, especially the young women, that in this culture of social media, not to allow, don't be influenced by what you see online. Don't let that be a motivating factor to go do the things that you probably shouldn't be doing in your 20s. So the more that we can get exposure to our brand, the more that we can use that as a vehicle to educate at any age, 20s, 30s, 40s, 60s, right? We are, in fact, we're looking for content contributors. We have a couple of doctors that write for us. All of the content that's online is all medically reviewed, and it's all non-biased. Again, it's really a platform to educate and empower users to make an informed decision. But then you get to the ethics side of it, and you get to responsibility of our own influence, right? Like, we do not encourage, especially young women, to go modify their
bodies,
body, right? And in fact, our brand, Age Envy, we did a little study on this, because envy could be a sin, right? But we focus on benign envy, which is really a motivator for self-confidence, right?
Yeah.
As we age, we're all dealing with something. Be it right or wrong, we're all struggling with something. It could be body image disorder. It could be low testosterone. It could be a number of things.
My back hurts. My knees hurt.
My knees hurt, right? You know, my hair's thinning. Whatever it is, we believe that God has given us all unique gifts and talents, and that includes the practitioners.
Because you guys are on nutrition as well. You're not just talking about like...
So nutrition falls into functional medicine and integrative medicine. We have a couple of doctors on board that that are part of our community network. They educate on nutrition, the importance of a good diet. You know, what do you put in your body?
It's 80%, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, nutrition's 80%.
80%. The old saying of you are what you eat. That is a fact. And you have to be conscious of what you consume physically within your mouth, but you also have to be conscious of what you consume spiritually and mentally in your thoughts. Right? Of course.
So ageenvy.com.
That's right.
Try to really bring a healthy balance and also education to this space, that it's not all, what you see, in Hollywood or whatever. It's not all, you can do this in a way that is healthy, that it's and you guys are trying to educate to where it's, because you're not wanting
to be okay with aging, but also embrace what's out there, the alternatives and the options. And by the way, the treatments that we advocate for are all non-surgical. We're not fans. I shouldn't say we're not fans. We understand there's a place for everything,
for surgery,
right? For surgery. Yeah. But what I should say is that if you go to ageenvy.com, the types of treatments that you will discover there are all non-surgical. They're options to surgery.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. It's non-invasive.
Stem cell therapy, platelet-rich plasma. These are types of treatments that you can get from a local medical provider that genuinely help your, say you have achy knees in the morning, right? I had a shoulder. I could barely lift my left arm for 6 months. And I had stem cell spun up with PRP. And within 2 days, my arm felt like it never had an issue. So I'm a big fan of it. I've done it myself, and there's a lot of medical providers, certified, verified medical providers that are trained in this field of practice across the country, that we feel we should get our arms around and support them and bring more awareness to who they are and what they do.
So you guys are trying to connect people that have, hey, I want to do this. I want to take advantage of the technology and the benefits.
That's right.
With really trusted providers.
That's right. Absolutely.
And that's where they come, is to ageenvy.com, is to actually get real, authentic providers.
Absolutely.
Not some of this person who's doing it out of the back of their car, right, that you read about.
Every one of our providers.
I mean, that's real, right? That stuff's like people like, there's
there's
people that do this stuff.
That's in
like,
all industries. Unfortunately, all industries, why they have to be regulated is because you're always going to have a bad apple, right? But one of the things that we do to lift the integrity of our community, is we leverage an integration with npi.org lookup. So every one of the providers that you'll find on our platform have been researched, they have been verified, and they're all highly credentialed.
I mean, they're MDs.
They're not all MDs. They're either going to be a PA, physician assistant.
Okay.
They can be an MD, a DO, or a DC.
But they have
But they are medically certified and trained
education.
That's right.
They're educated. They're not just somebody who got a needle that's ready to go or whatever that is, or
no,
because I mean
you're not going to find that in our network,
right? But that's a serious thing, though.
It is a serious thing
because you're getting a lot of people, and I think being a father of a daughter, right? And I'm looking at it, it's like, man, the last thing I want is because my wife, I think she's beautiful. She's 32, and I think she's beautiful now at 32. And almost 33, more beautiful than she was at 21, because I'm not into 21-year-olds anymore. I'm into a 32-year-old because it's my wife.
That's right.
And so I think she's gorgeous, but I also want to support her in her own natural desires. And she wants to just be natural about things. And but and so this is an education thing for me too, because I'm trying to, as a husband, support. Because I'm honestly getting like a little nervous because I see some of these young girls that are just really mutilating themselves for no reason. And it's because it's more of a mental insecurity image.
Yes.
That I think
Seeking
is extremely
acceptance.
toxic of affirmation, that it's like, no, you don't need that. Let's, and then women at the same time, they're trying to hold on to this identity as they're getting older rather than like embracing. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with the medical practices of anti-aging, anything like that. And so I'm not trying to bash that in any ways. I'm just, my heart is concerned.
Yes.
Because you know me, it's always about like, let's go deeper, right? Let's find out this why.
It is
who you are. And I think some people can really judge that on both levels, on both sides.
That is something that my wife and I discussed early on when we first had this idea of spinning this up. And by the way, this happened at a time when I was separating from my ex-business partner, and we had I was a managing partner in a local clinic here. We focused on hormone replacement therapy and medical weight loss, and then we slowly integrated aesthetic medicine. And the reason why I mention that is when my wife and I decided to establish an online brand that was going to be a national brand, not just a local brick and mortar, we were definitely concerned with the influence, right? Like, what's the message? What's the tone of voice that we're putting out there? Are we encouraging something that we shouldn't be encouraging, or are we educating our user base so that way they can make?
I'm a fan. How to do it in a healthy way.
Yeah, do it in a healthy way. It's really important. And there's all walks of life. Everyone's struggling. As I mentioned, everyone's struggling with something. Something that I learned early on. This is about 10 years ago. As you know, America is an obese country, right? Like,
sure, yeah.
And the weight loss space is a multi-billion-dollar industry. Something that most women don't know as they age, they get on all these fad diets, right? But what they're not educated. No one has informed them that the reason why they're on this roller coaster of weight gain and weight loss and these fad diets, they haven't addressed the underlying issue. And as they're aging and their hormones get out of balance, that's going to absolutely have an impact on weight gain. So if you don't address that, if you don't understand, your estrogen levels, your testosterone levels, even as a woman, you're fighting the wrong battle. And that's when it really kind of dawned on me that this industry needs more education. And that's what we're setting ourselves up for.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I'm glad. That's why we do these, right? You just get together, hang out,
and that's why I mentioned it, because at 35, right, and then 40, and then 45.
I mean, I'm turning 35 in April.
Yeah,
I'm 34 right now. So you kind of
and this isn't just women, right? Men, if you're lethargic, your libido's low, you don't have any desire to go work out, you don't have any desire to even go to work. What you don't realize is that there's an underlying issue that's not being addressed. So you need to go get your testosterone levels. You need to get your blood work done and find out what's really going on internally, and then you address what's going on externally.
Yeah, awesome, man. That's great. Man, this has been a lot of fun. We're not done yet. So are we? We've been dancing. Are you been having fun?
Oh, I love this. This is
good
great.
Conversation.
I can sit here and talk for hours. Buddy.
Yeah. So let's kind of we're a part of the same community.
We are
a startup, Crest community. And why did you join Crest? First and foremost, just it's all about brutal honesty, right? I think that's you.
That's my fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Why did you join Crest?
The surface level
high level.
answer to that is because going back to my colleague and friend, Alex Martinez, he introduced me to you. I wasn't aware of Crest, but he said, hey, I've got a friend of mine named Jeremy that opened up this startup down in West Tampa, down out in Wellswood area. You got to come check it out. And I said, sure, man, I'll come check it out. I've got office space in downtown Tampa, and I had been wanting to get out of the downtown Tampa area. Not that this is real far out of there, but it's far just enough.
Yeah, about 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
15 minutes.
So, yeah, I wanted to come check it out. And then after meeting you, candidly, I think it was hearing your heart.
Yeah.
And hearing your vision.
Yeah, please be candid. That's the whole point about this. Yeah.
Hearing, meeting you, understanding your heart, understanding your vision, and you sharing with me the long-term goal, I was sold on it. I mean, I love what you're doing. I love what you're building here, and I realize that there's a need for it because of my own walk and where I'm at. There's a lot of shared space downtown Tampa. There's, going back to the importance of people, places, and things. I don't really have a desire to be in an area that might make my wife uncomfortable. Yeah. Right? Sometimes you got to work late. Well, there's a lot of places downtown
Just
that
don't
the
say
office
any names,
space,
Yeah, right.
And I want to make sure that my wife is good with where I'm at, where I'm spending most of my time. Yeah. I want to make sure that the people that I'm coming into an encounter with and the leadership team here at Crest, we share similar values. So those are some of the most prominent reasons why I joined.
Yeah. So that's awesome. What have you gotten out of Crest that you weren't anticipating? So you joined because of that, right? What now have you gotten or have you experienced, if anything, that you weren't anticipating?
New friendship.
Okay.
I would, even though our relationship is pretty new, I feel like I got a new friend, which is nice. And I don't use that word loosely. What I mean by that is, I can tell you, I get a sense of your heart, and I want to surround myself with people like that. And I enjoy coming here and doing this. I wasn't anticipating a podcast, right? So that's something that I've gotten out of this. Yeah. But even beyond that, anytime I invite, I've had some attorneys come over here. I've had anyone that I've invited over here. When they first pull up, it's like, what is this? This is different. Well, why is there a church out front? Like, what building am I supposed to be walking into? I said, no, just come to the back and we'll get some coffee. But everyone, 100% so far, that have come here and met me here have been impressed with the ambiance. They've been impressed with just the whole layout and the feeling of being able to come here and being in a professional environment, but also having the easiness of being yourself. You don't have to. It's not stuffy. Yeah. Right. I mean, like you've even got a video game upstairs at the pool table, right? So you don't find a lot of co-working space. I always say, that
if anybody beats my Galaga score, I'm gonna give them $100 if they can do it.
I actually want to know what the Galaga score is, so I can.
279,000.
Okay. I might not be able to challenge that, but I'm going to give it a heck trying.
Yeah, that's COVID for you, right there. Right there. How did you get
that's
so
good? That's a lot of Galaga time.
2 weeks of COVID, couldn't do anything else. That was it. Yeah, I just played some Galaga and got really, really, really good.
Is that score stored on the machine upstairs?
It is. Yeah. So actually, all top 5 scores are mine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think they're like 240,000 up to like 280. I was like, all right, I'm done.
Growing up, that was one of my favorite games. Galaga and Miss Pac-Man.
Oh yeah, that's mine. That's why I got that. I was like, oh man, I love this. This is so I got it during the pandemic, and then I quickly, as soon as we were building this space, I was like, I got to get this out of my guest house. Because I was spending way too much time.
On it. Yeah, distractions.
And I haven't played it maybe once or twice in the last year since it's been here.
Well, I think it's a great addition, and I think it kind of underscores the tone that you feel when you come into Crest Community, right? You realize that even though it's co-working space, and this is a place where you can conduct private meetings, you can meet clients and colleagues, but you can also just kind of kick back, have some coffee, and relax, and take. Goes back to that what we were talking about earlier, like grace over grind. Like just kind of sit back, take a deep breath, realize everything's going to be okay.
And to kind of dialogue with that, like, the heart of Crest really stands at just two levels. And the first level is what we do is we try to foster and produce and really not control, because it's uncontrollable, but naturally get this space of quality community.
Yes.
And I think that's the big differentiators. We do genuinely care about the community first. Like, I talk people out of joining a certain tier level, right? Because I feel like that they don't need it yet. You know what I mean? And it's there's that genuine factor. Like, no, you don't need this. It'll burn you out. You're gonna waste money on that. Like, it's okay. You'll grow to that.
Get there at the right time.
And people look at me like, well, I was ready to spend this. And you just cut this thing in by 2/3.
But that's how you get their trust,
right? Yeah, exactly. Right? You build quality community, and then our promise is that we are here is that this is a space for you to thrive. It's a space to connect, and it's a space to dream. And the brick and mortar aspect of it is literally designed as an ancillary use to the interpretation of the user. And so people say, oh, it's co-working. We let them say it, right? People say, oh, this is a private social club. Yeah, it's
that too.
It's that too. It's a quality community where entrepreneurs, creatives, and leaders, people that even have the desire to be that, they're working from home, they can come in and they can thrive here, they can connect here, and they can dream here, and they can focus on their entirety of their existence, not just their business grind. This is the space for all your healths, space to come and rig your life, to rise, increase, and grow. All those things, those little catchphrases that we have now. And so I love that you're saying that, because it's like this is such an interesting industry that I never anticipated getting into. I just really love people, and I thought, man, I need to just bring people together and see if serendipity can actually occur. The act of just not knowing someone, but finally going, oh, wow, I trust this person, and then great things occur. And that's what I love most about it. So it is cool. We have everyone from solopreneurs to C-level guys.
And everyone's in different seasons, right?
Yeah.
And you never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah.
That may sharpen you with your walk, right? With your decision process, with your business, whatever it is.
Yeah, so that's awesome. So what you got out of this is friendship. And how do you define friendship over an acquaintance?
When you get a text at 9 o'clock in the morning and get invited to go play golf.
Hey man, we got an open spot. You want to come? Yeah, that really happened. Yeah, genuine, right? And then we went out with two other Crest members, right? Actually, the two other guys that were before on this podcast, Matt Tack and David Day. Yeah.
Great guys, by the way.
Yeah, we had to get some ballers out there because me and you were just there to laugh.
No,
we had a couple good shots though. Yes. We had a couple good shots.
Couple good shots. Couple bad ones.
Oh, but we all did. That's why we picked up and played with the good guys. You're gonna have to have that.
That was a really good time.
It was awesome. It was awesome. Well, I'm really proud of you and everything you're doing, and it's an honor to have you part of Crest and let us know. And this is kind of where like the last question that I always, and for me, this is just I believe in brutal facts of just how can we get better. I celebrate failures. You either win or you learn. The only way you actually really fail is to quit. And so I just want to constantly learn from my peers and the members that right now I get to serve as the leader of this space, trying to continually craft and facilitate quality community, thriving, connecting, and dreaming. What am I personally failing at as a leader, and what is Crest failing at as a leader? And some of that failure could be that we could just simply be doing it better or getting the word out better, whatever that might be. And I'm not going to, I want this to be as raw and pure as possible.
Because of my gifts and talents and what I bring to the table, I'm going to be looking at this through a
whatever
lens, right?
Yep.
And so with my expertise being in digital marketing, I would like to see, I wouldn't call it a failure. I look at things as an opportunity.
Sure.
And I think you have a huge opportunity to enhance your online presence, to get to expand your reach, and offer something of value to your members as it relates to supporting them with their online presence. And again, this is just because of my own journey and my own walk. I'm looking at your position and the Crest community brand through the lens of my own experiences, and knowing your heart and your vision that you shared with me. Sky's the limit. I can see.
What can we do? Like what? Some nuts and bolts, man. What do you think that we need to do next?
So in my world, There's something called omni-channel approach of marketing.
Okay.
And that's when you embrace all avenues, all channels, be it YouTube, be it social media, be it direct response performance advertising. Now, even with these podcasts and webinars, like you have an opportunity to get your brand out, get it known to the world through online channels of marketing that weren't necessarily even available 5 to 10 years ago, right? So you're at a really exciting time in the space. The market is changing pretty quickly.
Okay.
Meaning that digital advertising space, there are things happening that I see where there was a big pivot from traditional marketing to digital. Well, now we're coming back from digital back into traditional. And as long as you have these offline influencing attribution models that we can kind of connect the dots to see what consumers are doing, how they're acting.
What are you seeing traditional versus how are you seeing that hybrid occur?
As an example in radio, right? They have a product called OTT.
Okay.
And what does that mean? They're monitoring when they're doing broadcasting signals, right? It's an offline influencing factor or an offline influencer to an online action. So when you publish this podcast, right, and someone's hearing it in their car, wherever that frequency is being distributed, it's could potentially cause an online action. Who is Cress? Who's the leadership? Can I schedule an appointment, right?
Yeah.
So now understanding data, because I like data.
Yeah, we love data.
Attributing that user, understanding that user experience, and then taking that attribution or that action back to what originally caused that action, right? Like this podcast.
Yeah.
When you publish this, who's your listener? Who's your audience? Is it the right audience? Is there a call to action at the end? Like, go check us out.
There will be. There
right?
will be, yeah.
So what I would like to see, going back to your original question.
Yeah. Where are we failing?
Yeah,
like, what
where
can
are
we
you
do better?
failing? I would like to see you over the next couple of quarters really hone in on that space and just kind of double down on it, because I think you're going to see exponential growth in the online space for you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. And, I'm a big supporter of who, not how. Like, I can learn how to do something, but so much about life and being genuinely enjoying to eat, drink, and enjoy your toil.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
Is to 100%. Do it with community, right? And so I would say, as we begin to navigate these waters and that law of reciprocity and serendipity begins to occur like it is, obviously you're an expert in this space. I'm an expert in other spaces, and that's the beauty of how it functions. I don't need to be an expert in every space because you could be a solid who. And so that is for sure something I'd love your help. Candidly, just I have no clue how that works. It's easy to spin wheels and be like, oh crap, what am I doing?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And that's because things have changed so rapidly from even when I was in the music industry before what you would do 6 years ago, 7 years ago.
Completely different.
Totally
landscape.
different game. Yeah. And so that's been the last, couple months, last year is it's fun getting back into the social media and online presence and everything.
I think that, unfortunately, last couple of years, getting through the pandemic and so many of us getting forced into isolation, it prevented community. Yeah. And an unintended consequence of that, I think some have just gotten comfortable, being in their home, being in isolation. Yeah. And we're not called to be in isolation.
No, it's not healthy.
We're called to be in community. And so that's one of the other benefactors of coming here and just living it, right? Getting out of my comfort zone, coming to a place of community, meeting new people. Anyone that's listening, I want to encourage everyone to do that, whether it's here at Crest or any space that you can just get out and build relationship. Because
healthy relationships. Like we talked about, those 5 people, right? Is where your life's it's a healthy relationships. See where your life's going, right? In 5 to 10 years, right? And it's like we have to really, especially for like the younger, every audience, but it's like, healthy relationships. These people that aren't self-seeking, yet people that are willing, that building that culture of trust, right? That's what we're talking. That's what we're building here.
That's what you're building here.
Trust.
And I just want to be part of it.
Yeah.
I think being here, getting to know you, getting to know your team. I don't know what the path or what the future holds, but just being here and having these conversations and being part of your journey and allowing me to be, whether if it's just someone on the sidelines watching and giving you some friendly advice, or someone that actually gets involved to help you grow your brand, I'm all in. I love it.
Yeah, well, hey, I appreciate you being a part of this. Let's Get Coffee podcast. You like these podcasts?
I
Pretty
love
cool,
it.
right? Yeah.
Oh, this is fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, man. Of course. Yeah, I'm excited.
Coffee's really good too.
Coffee's unbelievable. Yeah, the coffee's always good. And it was funny. You like literally went to the free black coffee that we have here. I was like, what are you doing with that? Throw that out. You're getting coffee on our pod. Let's Get Coffee. You're gonna have an espresso drink, whatever you want. And that's that's the whole heart of honor. Like, do whatever you want, man. Come on.
The in-house barista.
Oh yeah,
notch. He's
both
really
these guys. The guy behind the camera and Travis. Ryan and Travis.
Yeah.
You guys are the real deal. You guys make this. I'm gonna give you guys some claps on that. I drink way too much coffee. But it's good. I love coffee. That's the glue to our culture, I think. It's the glue to our community, is just getting coffee, hanging out and talking. Again, this was my dear friend, Ralph Smith. He owns a company called Age Envy, and you can check him out, ageenvy.com. It is a company that basically creates education space and connection for anybody who is interested in the aging health space, to see what you can do and make an educated decision so that you're not hurting yourself in the long term, or that you're not just bullheadedly sitting there and when there's a really simple resource for you to live a quality life. So we endorse that all day. Quality, anything quality community, quality life, quality, if your knees are hurting, you probably could go get something. I'm going to look into this a little bit personally for my knees and my back from a bad car accident. But I'm turning 35 too, so you don't know until you know. You're like, there's something different happening internally, hormonally. I haven't felt it yet, but now I'm anticipating in 6 months something's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. It's not a matter of if; it's a matter of when.
Is it? Yeah, it's not a matter of if; it's when. I feel great. I'm 34. Well, you're 34. You ain't 35 yet, bro.
Yeah. Next year.
Next year, man. Next year it's gonna suck. No.
We laugh about that. So I turned, and I'll share this. I turned 50 in February. I really feel, we kind of joke, like, you hear this, when you turn 40, everything's going to change. You turn 50.
It does, though. When you hit 30, everything changes.
I woke up and I was like, wow, I'm not moving the way I used to move.
On your birthday.
I'm not playing
50th birthday.
I'm not playing racquetball the way I used to play racquetball.
Yeah.
So, listen, aging is inevitable. We're all going to age. But living your best life possible as you age is a choice.
Can we age well, right? Age well.
Aging well. That's
age
right.
gracefully.
So we'll close on this, and we probably will reinitiate this project my wife and I were working on. We had a show on iHeartMedia called Aging Gracefully.
Oh, really?
And God willing, how all of this works out, and I don't know what is in store for us for 2023, but I'm kind of envisioning right now my wife probably sitting in this podcast room.
Oh, I hope so.
Kickstarting the Aging Gracefully podcast show.
Yeah, this is included. So come and use this, create content, empower people around you. Again, this is my friend Ralph Smith. What are some of your socials? You guys have Age Envy?
Everything is Age Envy on Facebook.com, Age Envy, Instagram. We're there.
Which is Age
Envy, ENVY.
AGE.
We have the branded social handles, all social media accounts.
So go check them out. We'll tag them in this. And again, if you haven't come by Crest, follow us at Crest Community everywhere. And then go to crestcommunity.com and just check out some videos, see what we're all about, and come and check out one of our spaces. Right now we have our flagship here in Tampa. We're going to open up hopefully a heck of a lot more in the coming future. Appreciate you guys for listening and enjoying just this hour, man. I really enjoyed you.
I enjoyed it as
well.
Thank you
for sharing your time and your wisdom. And just remember, check him out. Check Ralph out. He's the man. See you guys.